In this video, I wanted to talk about what do you feed your chickens if and when the shit hits the fan and the feed stores aren't open and it's the middle of winter and you got nothing to feed your ladies out there that are laying eggs and can produce food for you, but you don't know what to feed them. And how do you keep them alive in a situation where maybe you could really have an asset? And I've found a couple of answers in my path of researching this topic. I'm highly interested in this topic because I recently hired a permaculture design consultant, to help me design lots of things, but one of the things was a 4-pasture rotational system where 100% of the feed for my chickens can be grown from their 4 pastures in a sustainable way, without fertilizers, without amazing soil, these sorts of things, and that's the goal that I'm currently building, and I wanted to share some of my research with you. This is not firsthand knowledge, this is just my research, but hopefully you can at least find some things in here that'll steer you down the path towards finding other experts in these areas, or whatever. But I think this will help you. And the first resource that I'd like to share with you is a book called The Small Scale Poultry Flock. And this is a great book that I've had to read a bunch of times to fully understand. Every time I read it, it feels like it's a new book. But in that book, he mentions another book, which is helpful. This book is called Tree Crops, and that is by J. Russell Smith, and you can find it on Amazon. I just ordered my copy today, and what it does in that book is it mentions something I thought was very interesting. But during World War II, 50% of the chickens' feed needs were actually fulfilled by acorns in a lot of different areas. I haven't read the book yet, but that's what he says here. And that's very interesting. So I started researching, acorns and chicken feed and that kind of stuff. And I discovered that not all acorns are very easy. There's easier and harder acorns that you can feed for your chickens. And so when don't just go plant an oak tree before looking at what kind of acorns work best for chickens. But acorns have what are called tannins in them, and that is what gives them the bitter taste. And there are processes, by the way, for leaching those tannins, that bitterness, out of the acorns, so you can eat it. But if you were trying to use acorns as a way to feed your chickens, I don't think you'd want to minimize the processing to as simple a process as possible. And so there are, when you're looking for oak trees, if you're looking to plant an oak tree that you would like to maybe one day help feed your chickens, then what you would look for are the sweeter, more edible, tannin-free oak trees that you can plant. They will give you better acorns. I want to say it's the white oaks will give you sweeter, more edible, without the need for as much processing, acorns compared to like a red oak. That's not the one that you want. They both can be done, but the white oak is going to be better, and there are different types. I actually made a note of one that I found in my research that people seem to like. It is called, and I believe it's an emery, E-M-O-R-Y type of oak, and it makes acorns that don't need any processing whatsoever. But the problem is, right, these things take time to grow. So get them in the ground now. That's what I did. You can buy, I bought a 5-year-old tree, and I actually bought a 5-year-old chestnut, and I haven't talked about the other types of nuts. But you can buy, a couple-year-old trees, and they will start making nuts at 3 to 5, 7 years, and it takes them a long time to reach their full production. But we don't know. We don't know when and if and how this thing is all going to play out with the need to prep. We don't know if these guys are smart that run our world, and they're pretty good at prolonging things. And so, don't be afraid to plant some trees. It might take 10 years to really have a good crop on them, just because you think you need to be prepared for something that's going to happen, next month, right? Plan for long term. Don't just plan for short term. But other tree crops that work good, the best one for not during the winter time is the mulberry tree. And the mulberry tree will drop fruit for the longest period of time and is very prolific, and it is very good for chickens. They absolutely love it. And other things that work well too are the walnuts, the chestnuts, the hazelnuts, and yeah, those. And you know what? Those are all good for us too. So if you got too much, oh well, right? And the chickens can eat them or you can eat them and all these sorts of things. So I think this is a great way to add some sustainability. You know, a tree can grow on a small piece of I don't know if it's a small piece of land, but it doesn't take an acre, right, to grow a couple of large trees that can drop some of these acorns and chestnut trees can drop 800 or 1,000 pounds of nuts a year. That is amazing. That is a lot of food. So anyways, it's just something that I thought that I would share with you that I really think could help you feed your chickens in a shit at the fan sort of situation. And the other idea, which is not a tree, is something that I'm playing around with, but that's actually something called a Jerusalem artichoke. And you'll have to stay tuned as maybe we'll make a separate video on that, but that's a different type of perennial root crop. Doesn't require tilling. It feeds chickens or it feeds pigs or it'll feed you, and grows in low fertility areas and can be a substitute grain that works well. So hopefully those are some good ideas that you can start to explore, or at least give you some areas to go research yourself. And again, I have not done any of this yet myself, so if you have suggestions and comments on other things that you'd like to do, feel free to leave a comment, and let's just collaboratively come up with great ideas for how we can best feed our chickens and our livestock. So anyways, that's it for today. Look forward to talking to you in the near future.